Aaron, if you can give us your full name, where and when you were born, and what you did as a youngster.
Aaron Michael Croteau, September 9th, today actually, 1983.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Here in Williston, North Dakota. So, yeah.
What did you do as a youngster?
Youngster, I was a single child up until 3, 4, and then I had a little brother born, Eric, and then my mother met my stepfather, Lloyd. My father, I met him twice before, but so then my stepfather, he's amazing. He's my father. So he had 3 children, and then they met up. They got married, I think, like in the first month. And then they had 4 children. So we have Eric, Matthew, Candy, Missy, Tony, Kurt, Chad. Probably missing one of them. And then I have 17 they're all half-bloods. I have 17 half-blood brothers and sisters, 11 through my father that I've really only met a few times. But.
And you're the oldest out of all 17?
Well, I'm the oldest from my mother's blood, I could see from him, or from my mother. And then Kurt Edwards, Lloyd Edwards is my father. I don't know if he works up at the, what's that place called? They just transferred up south, north, somewhere around there. But anyways, yeah, and then Kurt Edwards is my oldest brother.
What kind of games did you play as a child?
James, we were crick runners. We lived here until finished off kindergarten, and then we went to Belfield, North Dakota. And then from Belfield, it was kindergarten to 3rd grade, and we were crick. We pretty much lived in the creek, ran up and down and swam and did whatever. My brother Chad Edwards, actually, he's one of my biggest, I don't know about inspiration, because he's the one that got me, he was a troublemaker, but he was the one I kind of connected to when we were kids, so we'd run around and cause chaos and whatever else. But,
catch any fish at all in the creek?
No, everything else. Beavers, otters, frogs, no fish though, I don't remember. But.
So at what age did you start thinking about getting into the service?
I transferred over. We were low income with my father. My father was working for Napa and low pay. There was 8 children, so my mother just couldn't handle all of us. So me, Chad, and Tony were all sent to foster home, and that was in Dickinson, North Dakota. So my foster dad, he was retired Army, and he was retired firefighter, whatever, I forget what the fire department is, but he was a hard ass. He was strict and very. I hated him forever until he passed. Actually, he had kidney failure, got a transplant, and I was taking care of him throughout his transplant, and then he lost foreign kidney attacked the rest of his organs, and he just passed away. But that's gotta be, because, yeah, have been for my foster father.
When you signed to go into the Army, what was that day like for you?
I was still in high school. It was my junior year, and I was just like, school. I was trying to like school, but for some reason, school, I just couldn't just sit there. I can't just sit. I have to be out, moving. I have to be working, doing something. So I don't remember. It was I forget his name right now, but the recruiter came in. It's for the National Guard actually, and I was just like, he was telling me about whatever, and I was just like, I don't remember listening to a single word he said the whole time, I remember like the first 2 sentences or whatever. Then I was like, all right, I'll sign up. And then he was like, all right, well, and then I was like, no, all right, let's do this. Sounds good. I'm ready for this. So.
Was that the delayed entry program then?
Yep. So I signed up for the National Guard, 13 Bravo, cannon crew member, and then I went and got my GED. Well, I finished off my junior year of high school, went and got my GED, and then went to basic training, came back, went to 12th grade, and then I left for AIT. Came back and did guard until volunteered to go active duty.
What was basic training like for you?
It was. I remember basic training was pretty chill. AIT was more intense because we had different. It was a different setup of drill sergeants. Back in the day, there was a lot of. They were straight up. You mess around at all, you get. They put you back in your place. So it wasn't bad actually. Actually, wrestling training. Coach Melby or the whole wrestling coaching team out of Sydney, Montana was the most intense training I ever had, other than working on Iraq or working in third world countries. But
So what years were you in the service, and what was your highest rank?
2000, 2009. 2002, I signed up November, so pretty much the end of 2000, or November 21st, I signed up for Cannon Crew Member Guard, and then 2009, I got out, honorably discharged.
And you made it to an E4?
Yes.
Okay. How hard was it to reach the E4? I mean, did you have to do a lot of special things to get there?
No, that was my problem. I could have been E6, no problem, but like with my drive now, if I would have the drive I have now, what I'm doing with like my, personally, like mentally and biopsychosocially right now with what I'm building with, with our community, I would have been, for sure a higher rank, but I joined, but I was from, and what, I don't know, my father, which I don't understand that part, my foster father was straight up like, I was able to be let go, so I transferred back after my foster father passed away to my real parents, my blood mother. So I think I was kind of just in a rebellious, so I just messed around. I didn't care about it. I didn't care about the guard. Like I said, how I joined the guard was how I signed up for active duty army. I didn't even know what Iraq was.
So you went to Iraq. What was life like day to day there?
It was the shittiest, greatest thing I've ever done. Crappiest, greatest thing I've ever done. The worst, best, thing that's ever happened to me. Like I said, I was ignorant, super ignorant. I was just looking to, I don't know, I always got to just go and do something. Like I can't just sit here. I can't have, I always have to be moving. So it was, I showed up. It was crazy. We got there December 17th, and January 1st was the first elections ever held in Iraq, ever. And our job was we were out at Croteau on city, not Fallujah, it was Kirkuk. It was outside of Kirkuk. So we were out at Croteau. So there was 4 of us squads that were doing outer Croteau on a city of, I think, if I remember right, 100-something people. So we were blocking off. We had to search and check because first elections. It was we had all soft top Humvees. Well, I was 11 Bravo, 11 Mike, so we were mechanized infantry, and they're also ground. So we had one Bradley there, but other than that, it was all of us. There was 2 of us in the Bradley, and then 7, 8 of us that were just getting outside. Rules of engagement sucked because we're doing outer cordon. As soon as the sun went down, that's when the rounds started coming out. And that was before that, December 17th till December 31st, there was a few random pop shots. There was a sniper in there and a few random things like that, and where we'd have to lay down. So all we had was soft ops. There was no such thing as up armored Humvees at the time. And other than that, it was just kind of, I was in this, still in that same, I thought it was a movie the whole time. It was just it was weird how my mentality was. I was able, that was good, but I was able to somehow just kind of block everything out, like it was fake. But
do you have some good memories of being over there?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. That's what was it? Raiding the Air Force Base, freaking freezer trucks, and we lived out in the city most of the time, or we were always transferring. So only time we'd ever eat any decent food would be, you know, from the hands of people that have never met soap, or and they wipe with their bare hand, and they tear all their food with their hands. Is we'd eat that, MREs, and then when we would go to Air Force Base, was when that was so raiding, you know, Air Force trucks is one, and then there's, it's like the worst, funniest, best, I don't know, it was the craziest is my realization of where I was at and what finally is when actually William Houch and BJ, and he got blown when he was, their truck was hit by what 2155 HE rounds with 20 pounds of gasoline that was strapped in a napalm style, that there where they relieved our duty, and then they ran in, William's calling for you, need to head down to the medic tent right now, and so I ran down there. I didn't even put in, you always had to wear your helmet and your vest, and I ran down there in my freaking, you know, bare feet, and I go on there and I just walk right past, and I can't see them. They're all black, completely all black, and I walk, I'm like, William, BJ, I'm right here, dummy. All of a sudden, I looked over, and all of his hair, everything was just burnt off and everything. And that it was, not saying that was the, you know, that was the realization. It was also like, and that just him like, I'm right here, dummy. He's completely burnt, like gone, like he's alive, and he lucked out. But that right when he said, I'm here, dummy, and I ran over, and he's like, I need something to drink. And freaking no hair, nothing, and completely black. And right, I need some freaking drink right now. I can't drink anything. So I went over, and I looked over, and there was a case of Gatorade over in the corner, and I freaking walked over there and grabbed a Gatorade, and I gave it to him. About 15 seconds later, the freaking, or 5 seconds, the top medical doctor, what are you doing? You could kill him, this and that. But that little part right there where it was just so intense, like you know, we were acquaintances before, we both volunteered to go. I looked over at him they're like, we need volunteers for active duty, for infantry, and I looked over at him, and we weren't even friends, we were acquaintances at that time. I looked over at him, I was like, if you go, I'll go. All right, sounds good. Then we just walked up there and signed up. But that, you know, I don't know how but that right there was just my greatest memory worst memory.
Yep. You've got some things that are going on right now. Obviously, you were able to take from what you got into the service now with the National Guard, and beyond that, you're doing some things. Can you tell us about what you're doing and trying to be able to help veterans?
Yeah, I was, even after I got out, I was still, I'm still very strict with myself on how patriotism is used in our country. Patriotism is used very, you know, it's used like as if you're using, you know, a disabled person to make money off of, you know, something like that. And if you're doing it for a good cause, that's good. But my biggest thing, when I was younger, I was straight up like, no, I hate anything about it. Even though I joined the military, I was in the whole time, and I got out, and I still, you know, well, no, when I went to active duty and I got out and I transferred back over to Guard, then that's where I took a lot. But I've always been very skeptical. I hate any, you know, country bands, rock bands, whoever, where they just glorify, I don't know, it just seems so fake. So the biggest thing with me is I realized I went from being, I don't know how to say it properly, but per se non-patriotic, even though, you know, I did 9 years in the military, to more skeptical of patriotism, to where it's, I'm a patriot of our community, of us. I don't feel sorry for fellow vets. I believe every single, you know, person in the United States needs to do some kind of civil, or some kind of, not say military, but some kind of commitment, even if you're disabled, anything. That's what I was talking to you the other day about. You know, I go down to the community action, and these people that they can't walk, they have an intelligent quotient of, you know, 50s, 60s. They're sitting there cutting rags, they're sitting there doing, you know, things. They've been working for years and years, and I believe every single one of us. They have put more years in. This is where I realized, and I got like a feeling of seeing that of these, like down at community action, mentally disabled, and is they have more years of into our United States than I put in than any other freaking, you know, not saying it was more intense or anything, but that was one of the freaking main points of where I want to, of course, I'm all about the vets now, and help me help you because of like my anxiety and stress and talk, like for me to communication. I hate talking to, I just like to, my vacation is locking myself away, you know, and shutting the blinds and doing nothing really, doing what I do. But that was one of the points is that where I started realizing, and so that's where we were working with. Actually, I'm still on the board of it's called River Rural Institute of Veterans Education and Research out of Missoula, Montana, and I started learning. I was doing pipeline. I was managing a pipeline division through B&G, and so I was doing school, and I love the concept of how that school is related back to when I was in high school, where I was just like, I would sit there and I try so hard. I love to read. I've read, you know, I remember the only time I ever counted, I read 77 books in, you know, eight months or whatever, and it was just like, I just can't sit there. It has to be interactive, and that's what with this recreational therapy program, and the schooling, and say, what is it, 60, 70, I forget the exact statistics, but what percentage of all people that out of the military and civilian that join college, or you know, but they fail to drop out in the first semester. That's 60, 70% of all, you know, veterans drop out. So that's what I believe is what needs to be, is what I'm, biggest thing overall is what I want to build is a school where it's an interactive schooling of recreational therapy mixed with you do all your main courses, and then also what you're driving to do. But we'd be out, like what you do, say, is what this whole crew would do, you know, say if and kind of attach them all, then this class would do this class would be here, they'd be doing whatever, also learning at the same time, rather than just, you know, sitting and a field trip. Every day would be a field trip. So.
You are also trying to put together a museum, is that correct?
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the museum, that's another big thing is when I started actually like understanding, you know, why and what I've done and what we all as Americans should do, you know, do some sort of work into, you know, like you're doing, like what you said, that's what attracted me to you, right? You know, that's awesome. We don't have that here. So exact same thing is, we don't have, like, what do we have here in Williston, North Dakota that shows, you know, what, you know, soldiers have done like, throughout, from this whole area, you know, all the counties, this county and, you know, surrounding counties, all the little towns. And my blood grandpa, he went to the Pacific. He died the third day in the Pacific. My grandfather that took over for my grandpa, it was, I think they farm, both of them were family friends. They farmed outside of town, and I think it was kind of a help me help you kind of thing. But he got activated, called up. He showed up. He lucked the hell out. He got to, I forget what island it was in the Pacific, but he shows up. He lands. They bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then he gets sent back home. So. But yeah, it's like I didn't even know about that until like the last couple of years when I started to. He got dementia. He passed at 92. I took care of him. Kendra and I took care of him for 2 years. But I did finally. I looked through all of his. They saved everything. You know, the Great Depression style people saved everything. So I was able to see like, whoa, what the heck? This is amazing. Because he was very mute most of his life. Him and I, when I lived with him for years, we would say just, I remember there'd be weeks or whatever where there'd only be just a couple words said, but just because it wasn't because of war or anything, it was just kind of how he was.
If somebody wants to contact you, can they do it through Facebook or email?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And what would be the email address?
Email is operation.vision18@gmail.com right now. And then Facebook is veteran. Right now we're trying to switch out from, we're working for 2 different organizations. We're building our own and then also working for another. So we just did veteran integrated services. So for Facebook. And that's what, any questions, 2 of us, or 3 of us actually, all 3 of us founders of Operation Vision, when we, William Houch and Kendra Booth and me, we went and we're nationally certified veteran service officers, VSO.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not as good as Grant Carnes, but hopefully someday I'll be as knowledgeable as him. So I got to start working with him a little more.
Great. Aaron, want to first of all thank you for your service and thank you for doing the interview.
Yeah, no problem, man.